Hi guys, welcome back to the SirenSayz, a channel where I talk about commentary on all my favorite and non-favorite things in media. Okay, so this is gonna be about Avatar, like most of the videos on my channel are. A lot has been going on recently because things are ramping up. This year is when we're gonna start getting even more news about Avatar, and I think one or two Avatar properties are coming out this year or later on in the year, so everybody's excited, and now the girls are fighting again, and I thought I wanted to weigh in on this particular argument. Okay, Azula faces her chance at redemption in Avatar Studios' Azula and the Spirit Temple, coming September 26, 2023. Now, if you watched my prior videos, you know that I've spoken about this. I have actually spoken, and the prior videos on my channel, the ones about my unpopular Avatar opinions and my Brian and Mike video, those videos are months old. They were on my Sims channel. I just put them back on this channel in January, so those videos are actually months old. I discussed with y'all that they were planning to give her a redemption arc if they ever got a season 4, but they didn't get a season 4, so it did not happen, and they started some redemptive type things in the comics. I brought that up to y'all, so I'm not shocked by this. But apparently, according to Kara here, I'm not going to say this because I don't know how to pronounce that, people are fighting of, does she deserve a redemption or does she not? And I think it's very interesting because I never cared. I feel like Azula is a chameleon. She can either be evil forever or she could be an anti-hero. I don't think she could ever really be good. I think she could stop being completely evil and just help out whenever it suits her and then go off and do whatever she feels like. I feel like she could be that type. I don't think she could be forever good, only because that's the way Brian and Mike wrote her. You could see in episodes like Zuko alone, where she was evil as a 7-year-old or something. She was just burning dolls' heads, telling Iroh that he shouldn't stop the mission just because a family member died, he should get over it. Look, to all of you who are she was a kid and she was really influenced by Ozai, and I see where y'all are coming from, and I'm not gonna say you're wrong, but you cannot deny that Brian and Mike put a lot of evidence in the show showing that she was like this from a very young age. Even her mother, even though y'all be blaming her mom favored Zuko. That wasn't not. Her mom was also confused by her behavior, right? Her mom didn't understand where she got this from. Now, you could say her mom was being stupid because where do you think she got this from? Obviously, her dad. But for the mom to be confused, it meant that it had to go above Ozai just being crafty. She's different, which is why in my unpopular opinions video, I said that she's actually a more interesting villain than Ozai. I think she's scary. I think she's more interesting. But I want to have a full-length discussion on it because I'm in the middle. I'm not one of those people who think that she doesn't deserve one at all because villains should just stay villains. I do have that mentality with shows nowadays where it's damn, look, let's just be honest, okay? Avatar may have impacted people years after it was done, but when it impacted, and everybody wants to be Zuko. Everybody can't be Zuko. Everybody can't have a really good arc, Some people are just gonna fall to the wayside and be bad for bad's sake. Or you're just gonna have a Zuko arc that's not a Zuko arc because it's a trash arc, but whatever. This person right here decided to have a big long discussion about how unfair it is, because here's where I think she's coming from. Because Azula is young and because Azula is a woman. I know that sounds bad, it sounds really bad, but it is literally the truth. She is doing this because Azula is a child and Azula is a woman. If Azula was a young boy, maybe she'd have the same argument, but I'm not sure. But here's what I'm gonna say though, before she sees this and cuts me up. There were a lot of things that she said in her multitude of threads that I actually agreed with. But a lot of those things don't really have to do with Azula. They have to do with Avatar and the Avatar fan base. She brought up something about Iroh that I've been saying for years, but we're not gonna get into that right now. Also, if you hear any noise, niggas be cutting up in the back. So let's talk about it. Please let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Do you think, before I give my full thoughts, because right now I'm straddling the fence, do you think Azula should get a redemption arc or not? And if so, why? If not, why not? I really want to hear what you guys have to say, because I think the for and against is very interesting. As I said, I feel she could go either way. She could stay bad and be bad, or she could get a redemption arc and become a good guy. I feel like they gave her just enough in season 3 for her becoming good to be plausible. Now, people are not agreeing with her being good, which is where this argument is coming from. So, what we're gonna do right now, we're gonna look at the immediate thread of Azula in the Spirit Temple to see what people are saying. Then we can go back to what Kara had to say. All right. So, Avatar News. I think they have a YouTube channel. They be talking about Avatar. It's whatever, right? Here we go. Azula doesn't need a redemption arc. Not every villain needs redemption. This is not a Disney movie. Interesting, right? I don't know if, because they are doing it a lot nowadays. Every villain is being redeemed, or everybody is what's the name of that villain? That wasn't really a villain. Yeah, everybody's Black Adam, right? Like in Black Panther, Namor was kind of like a Black Adam thing. Like he was bad, but he was bad for all the right reasons. And like everybody can't be Zuko. You know what I mean? So I definitely think that it's very interesting. I had to make sure that I got most of my background noise under control. But anyways, let's keep going, right? So this person says Soul doesn't need a redemption arc because everybody's in a Disney movie. Interesting. Let's see what the comments. 93 comments? Bro. Okay, so people are fighting back. That's why it's 93 comments. Okay. This person says she's like 14. You're saying this like her life is at ends meet and she's done for. She's literally not a whole child right now. She's not as old as Ozai, not even as old as Zuko. Of course, she's capable of having a redemption arc. Okay. Interesting take. Her age isn't the issue. She may not be older than Zuko and still be a child. I don't know how old she is in the comic though, but she's always been rotten to the core. We see it in the flashbacks when Zuko tells us in the series she's not capable of redeeming her. This is what I was talking about in the flashbacks, where it seemed like she was just bad for badness sake, right? Brian and Mike did y'all always want to say Brian and Mike for some weird reason. Like, I love them. Okay, I love them for what they did in the original show, but like, they're the one. Okay, so for all of you who are on Kara's side, who thinks that she deserves a redemption, she's a kid, y'all really need to side-eye Brian and Mike for putting all those little Easter eggs in there that give people like Frankette the gumption to say she's rotten to the core. Because here's the thing, right? The people who say that, from what I've seen, and you guys will see it, the people who say that she does not deserve a redemption arc are coming from a place of supposed facts. They're not just saying this because they don't like her. They're saying this because they've seen the show probably multiple times, and each time they see little things when she was younger. I don't know if anybody's going to bring this up. I remember when Zuko got burned by his father, and Azula was there with a big old smirk on her face, watching it happen. Iroh couldn't even watch it happen. She was watching it happen. You're telling me that she's just misunderstood and abused? Now, she might be misunderstood and abused, but what I'm trying to say is you can't just fight them and say that they just hate women or they just hate little girls. It's not that. It's literally that, unfortunately, Brian and Mike put a lot of little things in there to make her look unredeemable. So if you're trying to get them to understand that she is redeemable, you need to bring out counter evidence without saying that they're dumbasses or without saying that they didn't watch the show. Because honestly, if you watch the show, her being unredeemable is one of the two things you could come out with. Like, it's not, impossible to think of. And they said, great figuring out the writer, mature way of responding, mate. Azula is a human that showed multiple moments of vulnerability in the show as a 14-year-old. Both her mother saw her as a monster, and the parental figure that supported her and made her feel accepted was her corrupted evil father. Azula at the beach admitted this, also had trouble being a teenager, talking to voice, but less than Ty Lee. She had a panic attack when senile, and everyone she trusted left her. Her mother, brother, best friends, and even her father left her alone for the war effort. Here's why I disagree with that. She didn't trust May and Ty Lee. She trusted in their fear. There's a difference. Trusting people means that you don't ever think that they'll betray you for loyalty reasons. She didn't think that they would betray her because she thought that she had garnered enough fear. Anybody can backstab because of fear. At this point, it may even seem like she didn't even understand how fear worked properly, which is fine because she's a kid. But I don't really think she completely trusted them. I think she thought that her hold was tight enough that they wouldn't have usurped her. In any case, back to the matter is, she was 14-year-old brainwashed by a tyrannical fascist regime run by her father, the main figure that showed her what she perceived as affection. If we think a child was manipulated and had severe family issues doesn't deserve redemption, then you see, this is what I'm talking about, right? Instead of trying to see it from both sides, the side that's all for Azula having a redemption arc is trying to vilify the people that don't think she should have one by bringing up the fact that Ozai is a terrible father and how he obviously must have mentally abused her, and if you don't think somebody who was abused deserves redemption, like, that is such a backhanded way of being like, it's like if somebody says, you shouldn't have touched the poison ivy, Tommy, and he's like, you don't think that little hurt kid should deserve some sympathy? It's like, it doesn't excuse the fact that Tommy should have listened and not touched the poison ivy. The fact that this is a little kid who's hurt is not the main issue here. See, I'm not going to say it's not an issue, but it's not the main issue. I think it's very interesting that people are trying to guilt people into agreeing with them instead of coming up with lore facts, which is all you can do, you know? And of course, they're using some lore facts to try, but it's like you can't guilt people into agreeing with you if they don't, you know? See, look at this. That tells me a lot more about you and your lack of empathy and your lack of understanding for humanity and others, especially young teens that are going through a lot. Azula was the foil that showed that Zuko was what could have been, and his father showed him the pride and honor he wanted. But he did. He did. Now, you could say that Zuko was old enough to see that he didn't need that, but he still kind of got what he wanted. Alright. Azula Inverse has a chance. She's a victim of Ozai, was neglected by her mother, and was led to betray her friends. She didn't betray her friends. Her friends betrayed her, technically. I don't know what this means. Besides, redemption is necessarily I'm good now. She could simply become neutral towards the gang. This is what I'm saying, right? This is what I was saying in the beginning. I'm not saying that she could be like a superhero. Nah. Maybe she helps every now and then, but then she goes off and does whatever she wants to do. Yeah. That's more like, if I were to pick a side, this is the side I would pick. This kind of redemption. Neutral redemption. Not like a redemption arc redemption. We can understand her background and what she had to go through, but her past does not redeem her. It only makes us understand why she's like that. By the way, I'm totally... Okay, yeah, so this person is more for the neutrality thing. I think that's where I am at. I don't think that she needs to be a good guy. I don't think she needs to be a bad guy. I feel like if she's still alive, she can be neutral, and that would make the most sense for her character. Let me know what you think down below. I'd say her past does not redeem her, then Zuko can't have redemption either. Yeah, you see, this is where it gets tricky. I was complaining a while back about how y'all making me sick and tired of Zuko on the low-key because the way y'all dick ride and Zuko and everything. But this is why, right? Zuko has done a lot of deplorable things. Like, everybody wants to say how Azula killed Aang or almost killed Aang. Zuko aided and abetted in that. And he didn't even feel bad that maybe Aang was dead. He was just scared that if Aang was alive, what would his dad do? You know, so for all people who love Zuko, like, that nigga is not perfect. And I know that's an oxymoron. He had a whole redemption arc. What I mean is, y'all like to act like Zuko didn't do... And I think I saw somebody say it here. Where is it? Let me see if I can find it. Someone said that what Zuko did was not that bad. And because of that, that is why he's more easily redeemed than Azula. If I find it, I'll put it here. Okay? But for me, I'm just like, nigga, he did a lot of terrible things. And this is where I come in with, let me put it in big words, the kid show effect. Y'all really love to turn on and turn off the fact this is a kid show. Y'all would not like Zuko if this is not a kid show. Let me explain what I mean by that. There's lots of things that I'm sure Zuko did or alluded to that we never got to see or he never got to verbalize because this was on Nickelodeon. If this was not on Nickelodeon, this was on Boomerang or something, or Hanna-Barbera or whatever cartoon thing was more geared towards adults, there's lots of things that would have happened that maybe would have changed your mind about certain characters. It wouldn't change my mind because I have the forethought to know that this was a kid's show, but also not really a kid's show. So I am able to see where they kidified things and where they alluded to things because they couldn't say it because kids were watching. So there's lots of bad things that Zuko did that he never got to verbalize because kids were watching. But you know he did them. You know, like the way he treated the people on his ship. The way he was willing to burn down a whole village. Look, I'm not saying that him and Azula are the same type of evil. Alright, Azula was so bad that she scared Zuko. But Zuko is still bad. Or was still bad at the time. That's all I'm saying. Alright? I don't think Azula will ever capable of redemption. She's just too rotten to the core, whether it's her innate personality or her father's manipulation. A redemption arc for Azula could work if done properly, but it should not end with her living happily ever after with her brother. She needs to either leave the place for good so the rest of her days atoning for her, or outright die saving someone. Ooh. I don't know if I agree with this, because this is saying that, because to be honest, the whole die saving someone, I have said this about other characters in other shows, and I said this because I dislike the person so much that, like, the only way I could like them is if they died doing the right thing. I feel this way about a certain My Hero Academia character. You know? I'm like, okay, this person needs to either go out there and be alone or die saving someone for me to like them. And that's because I really hate them. You know, it's not because that's like the right thing to do writing wise. It's because I really hate them. And it could be the right thing to do writing wise, but I don't think it's the right thing to do for Azula. So this person probably just really does not like Azula. I'm just guesstimating here because this is the exact thing I said about somebody I really hated. You know, I didn't appreciate his bad guyness. I just hated him, and this is exactly what I said. This right here. People in the comments going off about her being rotten to the core or naturally evil, as if that's not the opposite of Atla's philosophy. This isn't a math problem. She wasn't born evil because of Atla. As a story, doesn't believe people can be born evil. Okay, so what this person is saying is, in the lore of Atla, you see a couple episodes where they show that nobody is born evil. They become evil over time. So even though the show sort of alluded to Azula being born evil, that can't be the case because Atla's philosophy is that nobody is born evil and that everybody deserves a chance. Everybody deserves to be given a chance. See, y'all hate Aang, but Aang would have been all here for giving Azula a redemption arc. I'm just saying, stop hating Aang. I just had to bring it up. This video might be long, deal with it. LMAO, while it's true that a proponent of the story was innocence in youth, Azula was shown as about 9 years old, being a horrendous child and tormenting her mother. I don't know if she tormented her mother, but she was a tormented kid. I don't see where she tormented her mother. Then she was quite happy when mom was killed or banished. Yes, she seemed happy about this. However, you can tell later on that she wasn't necessarily happy about this. I think at the time, because kids, they don't have a lot of foresight. I think at the time, Azula was just happy that this person who didn't seem to understand her was finally out of her life. And I feel like it definitely affected her later on, and she probably regrets that. This is not a point towards or against the arc. This is just what I believe is headcanon. I don't know, there's a lot to unpack regarding her relationship with Ursa. That's Azula's mother for the uninitiated. Okay. But I'm not really arguing that she wasn't evil. I absolutely think she was. I just think that the narrative-wise, she wouldn't have to be like that for the rest of her life if she doesn't want to. I agree with this somewhat. I feel like giving evil characters redemption arcs can be fun and interesting, concept if done correctly and sparingly, like Zuko, but Azula had a whole arc that led her to insanity, and contrary to popular belief, you can't fix insanity. I think this is a very unpopular opinion. It's not that insanity is something that can be fixed, it's that Azula has mental issues and she needs to work through them with therapy. Okay? Well, this is where you and I disagree. I don't believe her mental illness is the root of her problems. Parts of them, sure, but although you can't cure mental illness, they can be treated and she can learn to live with them. The thing about arcs, I agree. Yep, I agree with this 1000%. This is what I was just saying, but he articulated it better. Thank you. Alright, her issues with her mother are why she's a terrible person. I disagree with this wholeheartedly. Come on now. And you see, This is where I somewhat agree with Kara about people just getting on the women of Avatar. And you know what's funny about this? The original Avatar was like one of the first mainstream shows that were popular to like paint women in this strong light that wasn't very wokeified or whatever, and it was still done very well. So it's terrible that even with all those strides, this is still a thing. Not just her mother, but her father. Just like Zuko, she's a victim of narcissistic conditional love by Ozai. He only loved he could use and control. So she acted just as evil as him to have at least attention, because unlike Zuko, she couldn't run to her mom for comfort. Here's the thing about the mom thing. I don't know if it is that she couldn't rely on her mother or that she secretly wanted love of her mother. I think when it comes to her psychology, we really need to deep dive into it, because her and her mom, that's like really complicated. True, but at least be able to convince herself that she had her dad's love. I don't think it's necessarily an act. She became evil like him because she lacked her mother's nurturing and decided to look up to her father instead. I don't know if she lacked that, because Ursa is very nurturing. But anyways. Okay, that doesn't sound right. Ozai isn't just rotten. Is just rotten. He never gets sad context. He's just evil. She was happy when Zuko got burned when she was like 8 or 10. She got a much more natural bent towards evil. You're making a theme universal that isn't meant to be. You're right about Ozai, but I do believe that it was more of a storytelling choice. Ozai is supposed to be an untouchable villain until Aang beats him, giving him weak moments would have broken that. But I do see your point. I do think Ozai is the best example of that. Ever think that Azula just enjoys being a bad bee? I sure do. It's why I enjoy a character. And that's it. Like, we love Azula. You know, whether she changes or not, she's like one of the best characters in the show. Like, there are people who actually don't like her. Y'all are weirdos if you don't like Azula. Like, shit. The ultimate. Anyways. There's a handful of characters in the Avatar verse who are basically just evil because they're giant pricks. Zhao, Ozai, Udalok all come to mind right away. Oh, I hate that core stuff is just mixed in with Legend of with Last Airbender, so I just hate it. Azula isn't really one of them because effed up backstory doesn't make a redemption arc a good idea. I want to discuss in the comments as well. People keep bringing up her past to justify that she deserves a redemption arc. Now, her past does go into the story. It does. Do you guys think that her past is a good reason for her to get a redemption arc, or do you think that there needs to be a little bit more? I agree with the people who are saying that they don't really want her to have a redemption arc because it needs to be written properly. That's where I'm at. The way I am, I can like almost anything if you write it well. There are certain characters that I'm never usually into, but in certain shows, they were one of my favorite characters because you just wrote them well. So it's like, bro, like, in order to shut people up about this redemption arc thing, write a redemption arc that's good. And nobody can't say nothing. Nobody can't say nothing because you wrote it well. TV has a redemption problem, which sounds silly, but it actually is way too common considering the particulars of the trope. It's a cheap way of setting the arcs of characters who've already completed them. It's what if Superman turned evil, but for cartoons. This is what I was talking about. Everybody wants to be Zuko. Everybody wants to have this big giant arc. Some people are just that and done. And that's just it. I'll be genuinely shocked if she gets redeemed. It's more in character for her if she looks at it right in the face and says, nah. She pretty much did it already when she did reunited with her mom. I don't know why it would change now. I forgot to say spoiler alert. If you didn't read the comics, they found their mom. She's not... Ursa's not dead. No, she's alive. Anyway.